It's Friday, January 30th, and this is the evening update right before our major storm in the Carolinas. This one's going to be absolutely massive. We've got blizzard conditions coming up, shelter-in-place warnings being issued, and we finally have confidence on exactly how much snow everybody's going to receive. The setup is explosive, and the impacts are going to be severe across multiple states. So let's get right into it because time is running out to prepare for what's about to unfold. Let's start by looking at our winter storms outlook for tomorrow. We have a large, moderate risk of major winter storm impacts over a huge area. We've got millions of people about to get completely stranded if you try to drive on Interstate 26, 95, or 74 between Augusta, Columbia, Charlotte, Asheboro, Fayetteville, Wilmington, Jacksonville, Greenville, Kill Devil Hills, Raleigh, you name it. Even up toward Virginia Beach, we are going to have an extremely tough time getting around in all this snow. It's not just the depth of the snow that's concerning. We are going to have snow rates that exceed 2 to 3 inches per hour. So if you get under one of these bands where it's snowing really hard, it's going to be blinding snow conditions. Then add on top of that the wind gusts. Even well away from the low pressure center, we could have wind gusts around 30 to 40 mph. This is going to be light, fluffy snow because it's going to be so cold. That's going to lead to blowing snow and significant drifting. If you're closer to the coast, we could be talking about winds up to 60 mph, which is a legitimate blizzard. So get ready for that, especially up around Kill Devil Hills, which is where storm chaser Brad Arnold is currently driving to right now to experience this major storm firsthand. Let's take a look at what the radar could look like as we go into the future by examining the high-resolution rapid refresh model. This is what things are going to look like around midnight tonight, and it's honestly pretty similar to what we have right now. This band of snow is sticking around on the northwestern side of the Appalachian Mountains. It's dropped a good inch of snow here already. There are places that will pick up several inches from Knoxville up to portions of southwest Virginia, up to Beckley, West Virginia. But this is not the main event. Let's pull this forward and show you what I'm talking about as we go into the early morning hours tomorrow. You can see that we get some more robust convection down around Atlanta, down toward Augusta, up toward Asheville. This is where our moderate to heavy snow is going to start falling. This is the messy low to the west of the main low pressure center that's developing off the coast of South Carolina. What this might do first is pull some strong snow squalls down into Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, maybe even as far south as Dothan and the panhandle of Florida. So get ready for literal snow in Florida tomorrow, potentially in the panhandle, but it also might create a dry slot, and I want to prepare you for this possibility. We talked about this days ago. This is why it's important not to get emotionally attached to your snowfall totals because things can change. This hasn't changed at all. This is something we warned you about days ago. It is very possible that we end up seeing enough dry air get into the middle here to dramatically reduce the amount of snow expected in places like Sumter, South Carolina, Fayetteville, Asheboro, Sanford, Raleigh, Greensboro, up toward Virginia Beach. The latest HRRR is showing a significant dry slot. We've got 2 areas of low pressure, and one of them is likely being modeled incorrectly. The HRRR is not very good at resolving the strength and placement of low pressure centers over water, and that could be causing issues here. So it's not set in stone that we're going to have a dry slot over Raleigh tomorrow, but it is one possibility that could emerge from this very dynamic setup. One place that definitely won't get dry slotted is Jacksonville up to Beaufort, New Bern, Kill Devil Hills, and Elizabeth City. This area is going to get hit by what will technically be a blizzard by 11 a.m. tomorrow. Storm chaser Brad Arnold, Brandon Kopic, and several others will be right in the middle of it, trying to give us real-time views of what's happening during one of the strongest storms this area has seen in a very long time. At the same time, we're going to have snow moving back into Atlanta down toward Columbus and Macon. The I-16 corridor, I-75, and I-20 are going to be quite treacherous tomorrow around this time, especially I-85 between Atlanta, Greenville, and Charlotte. We're definitely going to have some delays on that interstate. Interstate 26 is also going to be tough between Asheville and Columbia. This is when we can start to see some of that heavier snow in Columbia. Charleston, South Carolina. It's not out of the question that we see snow tomorrow around 2 p.m. down there. Myrtle Beach could be seeing snow around this time. Notice how we still have the dry slot in the middle, but also notice how strong this low pressure center gets. That looks like a hurricane, doesn't it? This is just going to be wild to watch unfold on radar and satellite. You can see that as the storm gets stronger, so does the expansion of the precipitation shield. So dry slot or not, once this thing really gets going, we're going to have a big precipitation shield from Savannah, Georgia, all the way up, covering the entire state of South Carolina and North Carolina. This is when some of the strongest winds and heaviest snow will be falling between Kill Devil Hills, Jacksonville, and Wilmington. Even North Myrtle Beach could have some crazy impacts from this. It's going to be incredible to watch on our cameras. We are looking at potentially blizzard conditions across a good part of the North Carolina and South Carolina coast before the storm really even gets going. We are going to have winds widespread across the Carolinas between 10 and 20 mph. These are gusts, not sustained winds, so it won't feel that windy at first, but look at all the cold air coming down on the backside. The main focus is going to quickly become the coast. Watch this storm form. It looks just like a tropical storm or hurricane. There's going to be winds over 110 mph around the central area of low pressure over the water. This is going to be a fish storm and a half. But even on the coast, things are going to get pretty crazy. The winds are really going to start picking up in eastern North Carolina potentially around 5 p.m. tomorrow. This is when we're going to have gusts getting between 35 and 55 mph from Myrtle Beach all the way up toward Kill Devil Hills. We're going to have strong winds up around Virginia Beach as well. The strongest winds will hit the Outer Banks most likely around 3 a.m. Sunday morning. 65 to 75 mph wind gusts, hurricane winds, and snow at the same time in North Carolina. These are onshore winds, so not only will we have snow coming down heavily, we're going to have hurricane-force winds and coastal flooding. We're going to have huge waves crashing against the coast, all that sea spray getting frozen. This is why we have shelter-in-place warnings in effect for much of eastern North Carolina. The closer you are to the coast, the worse it's going to be. How much snow are we going to get? In Charlotte, on the high end, I think we could see 8 or 9 inches of snow. Up in the higher elevations of the Smokies, we could potentially see up to 16 inches of snow. Places like Knoxville could see 4 or 5 inches of snow. Atlanta, Georgia could see 1 or 2 inches of snow. Athens, Gainesville, Augusta, 3 to 4 inches of snow is possible. Northeast Georgia, we're talking about 6 inches. Greenville, South Carolina, 5 or 6 inches. Charlotte to Raleigh, pretty much 5 to 8 inches is going to be possible. Our heaviest totals are going to fall likely between Jacksonville, New Bern, and Kill Devil Hills, where a widespread 8 to 10 inches of snow is possible. I would be shocked if we didn't have several places that exceed 12 inches of snow. After this storm goes by, more cold air is coming down. Unfortunately, we still have many people without power in Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. There are still 60,000 people without power in Nashville. The unfortunate death toll as a result of our most recent ice storm is over 100, and we've got another dangerous bout of cold air coming down. It's going to be near 10 degrees Sunday morning. With the wind chill, it'll be below zero. We're talking about 4 degrees in St. Louis, 10 degrees in Chicago. But what's really interesting is how far south the cold air goes. Look at that temperature in Birmingham Sunday morning, 16 degrees. That's crazy. 16 in Atlanta. It's widespread 15 degrees across the Carolinas and Virginia up into the mid-Atlantic. The temperature in Tallahassee Sunday morning might be 21 degrees. With the wind chill, it might be literally 5 degrees. We're going to have very intense cold in Tampa. It's going to be near freezing in Miami. This is an insane area of cold air. Yes, we are still talking about the real potential for snow in Tampa. We're talking about Gulf effect snow. This is very possible anywhere from Cedar Key through the Villages, maybe even into Orlando, down through the Nature Coast into Tampa, as far south as Arcadia. We could see snow and it could accumulate on the ground. The warm Gulf water is going to act like the lakes do and provide snow squalls in Florida. The chances are decreasing, but are still not zero that we might see snow in the Bahamas for the first time since the 1970s. But it's much more likely that we see snow in Florida. We do have hard freeze warnings and extreme cold warnings in effect for portions of the Nature Coast and interior suburbs of Tampa and Orlando. This is the first time that these types of warnings have been issued for Florida in decades. This is not just jacket weather. This is life-threatening cold for vulnerable populations and a critical threat to agriculture and infrastructure. The cold is not going anywhere anytime soon. Here's the 6 to 10 day outlook. We're below average in Miami for the foreseeable future. 10 days from now, we're still going to be below average. The entire state of Florida, the entire East Coast is in that below average zone. That's pretty much all the weather analysis I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe out there.